Do you recommend VTubing? For what? It depends. If you want to be a VTuber because you want to be famous,
you want to VTube,
then I don't recommend it at all because you probably won't be. And if you are, you won't be for very long. That's just kind of probably how it's gonna go. And so if that's the only reason you want to do it, probably don't. But
wait, what was the reason you would say not to? I didn't hear that part.
If you want to do it because you think that you're gonna be like a famous VTuber and you want to collab with your OG and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's just a bad reason to do it. But if you want to do it because you're like, wow, it would be really fun to put on an anime puppet and jump around, then yeah, definitely try it out. It's the most fun. I love it. It's so much. VTubing is super fun. Start out if you want, obviously, don't take this advice if you don't want to, but start out with a pre-made model probably, or with a PNG. Don't pour a ton of money into it before you know if you like it, because it feels different than you might think it feels. So try it out and see if
it's very expensive to get into, and there's so many cheap and like free assets to use that it's like...
And the other thing that I would say, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think this is true. If you don't like streaming to 2 people, you won't like streaming to 100 people, and you won't like streaming to 1,000 people. So if you try it out and you got 2 viewers, which is impressive, by the way, that is not immediately what happens. It's not what happened on like my first few streams, and
Oh, me neither.
Yeah, if you try it and you don't like it at 2 viewers, don't put a lot of stress on yourself into getting more viewers, because if you don't like it at 2, you probably won't like it at 1,000. More than that, I don't know. Maybe it rocks at 10,000 no matter what, even if you hated it at 2. But personally, I loved it at 2. I loved it at 100, and I love it at 1,000. And someday, when all of this has faded, I will love it at 2 again.
Yeah!
I think a lot of people imagine that it's going to feel like playing games with your friends, and it doesn't. It feels different than that. It feels like a performance. It feels kind of intense. It feels like a lot. And some people just love it. But also some people really hate it, even if they thought that they would like it, even if they love playing games. They love playing games with their friends, even if they're talkative, right? And there is also a lot you have to do on top of just streaming if you want this to be a hobby and you want to pursue it. But that's like worth considering, that if you want to get to the point where you have consistent viewership, and remember, I'm not talking about 100, I'm not talking about 1,000, I'm talking about like getting to 20 consistent concurrent viewers is an enormous achievement and hard to do. It took me a long time to get there, and I worked really hard to do it. And the work that you have to put into that, it's a lot of stuff that goes well beyond streaming. It's a lot of networking. It's a lot of editing and posting clips. It's a lot of getting involved in the community and posting on Twitter and seeing what other people are up to and reading about trends and trying new tech. It's a lot of stuff that happens off stream. And so, I don't know. Yeah, I would say don't pour a lot of money into it until you know if you like it. What software do I use to animate my VTuber avatar? Most 2D VTubers that you see, almost all of them, will be using VTube Studio. Most 3D VTubers that you see will be using Warudo or VCFace. I would recommend Warudo, but VCFace is cool too. I wouldn't actually recommend Vroid, and here's why. Maybe this is mean. I think that Vroids, unless you're really, really rehearsed and practiced at them, unless you are an artist, and unless you have put a lot of time into learning it, the models that you get out of Vroid look incredibly...
Are gonna look like a Vroid.
They look Vroidy. And people are so used to scrolling past Vroidy looking models that it will actually stand in your way to some extent. They're highly customizable, and you can often, read the license, but usually you can redraw the textures, which is exactly what you're doing on Vroid anyway, right? And so if you are good enough that you could redraw textures convincingly on Vroid, you could redraw the textures on your customizable Live 2D model, and then you're just going to have something that looks a lot more professional, and that people are a lot less likely to scroll right past. So that is my advice on that. They range in price from like, you can, and I highly recommend you use customizable models, especially since you're going to find out that you're someone different on stream than you expect. Like, the character that you initially make will probably change somewhat. You're going to find yourself as you're streaming. You're going to figure out who you are and how you want to engage and what's comfortable for you. So the character you initially design, it very well might not be the character you end up being. Basically free to, like, I think probably the most expensive pay-to-use models are like just a little over 100, which when you consider the fact that my model was like 5,000, and that's quite cheap for a professional model. I paid almost nothing for a professional model. When you consider that, Yeah. Why are models so
mhm,
expensive?
mhm,
Dory spent like
Mm.
2
A
months
lot of work, guys.
working on this model, right? Where it was her full-time
Straight.
job was working on this model for 2 months, right? So when you consider the fact that, like, you know, what do you pay someone for a month of work?
Yeah.
Yeah,